When most people talk about astrology, they talk about the zodiacs as if it were this prison, like a fixed identity, a personality box, or traits in which you'll inherit forever. But in the highest truth, the zodiac wheel was never designed to be a cage. It's an octave, a full spectrum of frequencies that your soul learns to play through utilizing this human vessel. So today we're going to talk about Ophiuchus. This is a highly suggested esoteric topic. I'm super excited, if you can't tell, to share with you this very important archetype that does not just exist externally. Esoterics is something that also moves through you. So before we even talk about astrology or Ophiuchus, we must first understand and acknowledge something far deeper, and that's that this matrix system is built on a 12 number. The entire matrix is built on the number 12. We have 12 hours on the clock, 12 months in the year, 12 constellations of the zodiac, we had 12 disciples, and also 12 gates of initiation. This 12 base structure forms the karmic matrix wheel, the cycle that narrows perception so that you can learn through contrast, duality, friction, and integration. And you do not enter the wheel because you're limited. You enter it so that you can remember yourself through the experience of limitation. But the truth is that you're already a multidimensional organism, existing across layers of consciousness simultaneously, and your perception only appears narrow while incarnated, but your awareness extends far beyond what the avatar can sense. Your birth chart is not who you are, but it's a snapshot of the sky, the energetic photograph of the exact frequency your consciousness tuned into the moment that it entered this terrestrial plane. It marks the coordinates of your incarnation, the geometry, the angles, the vibrational signatures that form the operating system of your avatar. The body is the localized vessel, and the chart is the interface, and the soul is the multidimensional intelligence running it. Each chakra system mirrors this structure, and each chakra is a dimensional sphere, each one harmonizing with planetary energies encoded into your chart, not as fixed pairings, but as a resonance within your internal cosmos. After all, you are the universe, experiencing itself as human. And just like every snowflake forms the same water vapor, yet crystallizes into a complete unique pattern, every human being carries all 12 archetypes, but in a formation that only they possess. You contain every single sign, every single planet, and every single house and every degree, not as separate compartments, but as notes in the symphony of your existence. You were never only one sign, but you were the entire wheel expressing itself through a single point of consciousness. Astrology in its ancient form was never meant to define personality. It was a map of consciousness itself, a blueprint showing how infinite intelligence localizes itself into a body and into a story, into a life. This is why every chart is almost like a mandala, a unique crystallization of universal forces arranged in a geometry that no other being in existence carries, like a snowflake. You are made of the same cosmic substance as everyone else, yet patterned into a signature that exists only once in all of time. And when you understand this, the zodiac becomes a curriculum. 12 frequencies, the soul explores through contrast, 12 gates of learning, 12 angles of perception. But you already know what I'm going to say, right? There's a 13th frequency, the one that the ancients remembered and the world overlooked. And that's when Ophiuchus enters. The mythology of Ophiuchus and the lost story is that Ophiuchus belonged to the ancient star ritual systems that were used by the Sumerians, Babylons, and ancient Egyptians, traditions that use these constellations to track initiations and not identities. The Greek myth is also a symbolic echo of this. So you had Apollo, who fathered a child with Princess Coronis, and when she betrayed him and lay dying, he rescued that unborn son and brought the infant to Chiron, who was the immortal healer. Chiron, he raised the child, Asclepius teaching him medicine, herbs, prophecy, and the mysteries of life and death. Asclepius mastered the serpent's secret, which is all about regeneration, and he learned to restore life force so completely that he could actually revive the dead. So get this, right? Zeus struck him down to preserve cosmic balance, but then placed him among the stars as Ophiuchus, the serpent bearer. The myth hides a deeper truth though, because Ophiuchus is not just another zodiac sign. Ophiuchus is the archetype of transcendence, the one who learns the entire wheel but moves beyond it, and actually becomes the bridge between mortality and immortality, between matter and spirit, and between the human and divine. The Greeks told the story symbolically, and the Sumerians and Egyptians, well, they encoded it ritually, and all of them understood the serpent not as something that was dark, but as the rising life force that awakens the human into a higher octave of consciousness. Let me explain this further for you, right? So within the human body run two ancient currents of life force. You have Ida and Pingala, the feminine and masculine rivers of consciousness. Ida is corn, she's lunar and receptive, and Pingala, he's warm, solar and electric. These two serpentine channels coil around the central spine like these twin currents of intelligence, shaping our awareness that moves through the body. They are the original serpent bearers and the internal Ophiuchus. So we all have this. Every single human has a Ophiuchus within them. And when these currents remain separated, your perception stays divided. You know, you'll have like inner versus outer. There will be this theme between physical versus the spiritual, or the self versus the soul. And you see life through split lenses. But when Ida and Pingala merge, when the dual currents rise in harmony through the energy centers, a third path awakens. This is the central channel and the access point to Ophiuchus, which is the way to unity consciousness. As this unified serpent climbs up the spine, it draws energy from the lower centers, which are things like desire, survival, and instinct, and actually refines them into a higher perception. This upward movement awakens the pineal gland, which is the inner stargate that dissolves the illusion of separation and actually reveals the architecture behind this construct, right? The third eye is quite literally your multi-sensory perception system that allows you to tune into dimensional fields beyond what it is that your human eyes can look at. So this is something that allows you to see this construct and see through this construct. They call it the eye of the soul, right? So you're looking at your human experience, but through the lens of the soul, which is the true self. From there, awareness opens through the crown, the point where the soul and source meet. The perception that shifts from the human lens to the lens of the one experiencing through the human. This is the essence of the serpent bearer. You know, it's the one who has united the physical and the non-physical, the earthly and divine, the dual currents into the ascending stream. Through this union, you'll see reality not from inside the matrix, but from the soul observing the matrix. This is the one that is clear, sovereign, and awake inside of the system. I literally explain this to you all the time, where you're anchoring higher levels of awareness, right? From an octave of yourself, seated at a higher level of understanding that can see the full landscape of time and space. And there's intercommunication that happens that shifts the way that you feel about your journey on Earth, especially relating to it emotionally. So it's nothing new that I'm telling you, but you know, we're just like doing this again, I guess. So as we're aware, 12 governs the cycles, the rotational lessons of incarnation. And inside the 12, perception narrows so that you can learn through contrast. But 13 is completely different. 13 is the expansion of perception. It's a moment where duality dissolves and unity awareness awakens. The shift from identification to observation. It's the remembrance that everything is connected. Everything is you and you are everything. The ancients preserved this truth symbolically. We had 12 disciples surrounded the table. We have 12 archetypes, 12 emanations, and 12 frequencies. But the 13th, the Christed consciousness at the center, is the one who transcends the wheel. Even the number 33, Christ's age, it mirrors the 33 vertebrae through which the serpent rises. The spine is the staff and the life force is the serpent. Ascension is the opening of the 13th gate. This is the exact same esoteric pattern that Ophiuchus embodies. She is the 13th lens, the unity perspective, and the serpent bearer who integrates duality and rises beyond the contrast. While inside of the matrix, she has outsider information, right? While you're inside of this matrix, if you get what I'm saying, you have knowledge that extends and branches far beyond this system. And you're inputting that in the way that you navigate this world for the optimal human experience, essentially. She's a reminder that you contain all 12 frequencies, yet you're bound by none. You are the wheel and the one who steps outside of it. You are the avatar as well as the infinite intelligence animating it. And you are the localized vessel and the multidimensional being expressing through it. Ophiuchus is the moment your perception expands back to its true scale, the 13th octave, the lens of unity, and the remembrance of your infinite nature. 12 is contrast and 13 is unity, and you other consciousness, transcending both. With that being said, my love, I hope that you enjoyed that message for Ophiuchus, and it should explain it pretty much in a nutshell. I don't want to overcomplicate things, but it really is just about embodiment, essentially. So I'm going to go ahead and do a quick closing out message for Ophiuchus so that we can, yeah, see what it is that you may need to hear right now. Let's go, Cosmos Oracle message. Advice on how to embody this energy. Dark energy. Dark energy is the unknown. Okay, dark energy talks about essentially forget everything that you thought that you knew about yourself, because I'm hearing it's very localized, this system, and you're in the system but you're not bound by it. And then you also have cosmic ether here at the base, so I'm seeing this as you kind of traveling through the void, right? Dark energy is also saying that there's so much more to be discovered, but you have to turn on a flashlight. It also talks about untapped potential. I'm going to go ahead and read it for you. But when I talk about turning on a flashlight, I always see it for some reason as like ultraviolet light, which is higher bandwidths of frequency light, where you are seeing life through the lens of the soul and you're actually able to interpret, you know, a dimensional layer of this reality that you are coexisting with. Let me go ahead and get this card for you real quick. Dark energy. It's one of my favorite cards in the deck for sure. The mystery. Ooh, undiscovered potential, right? Dark energy is the most prevalent in the universe and it's of unknown origin. I'm hearing it's hidden in plain sight. It reminds me of do not make the path easy to tread, for the weak and wavering will be rejected. Hide. It's almost like where it says in the Emerald Tablets, preserve the symbols and hide them almost in plain sight. That's what the saying is. And there's something that you've seen through where it's been hidden in plain sight, but you've seen through. I'm actually going to get that text up from the Emerald Tablets and read it for you, because this is what I feel like it is. It's very High Priestess energy. Anyway, it is in the darkness where we find our most valued talents, passions, and motivations. The darkness is not always about going down into the basement to look for pain. Dark energy is universally defined as unknown energy. What if you're being a certain version of yourself, thinking that's all of your potential? What if there's a lot more to discover by turning on a flashlight? There is much more to discover. I'm hearing there's many secret things that have been encoded into you. I don't want to say things, but like energetic signatures, if you will, that you're kind of, I'm hearing, are coming online and you're learning how to utilize, where maybe you thought that you had one gift but there was many more, and there could have been self-doubt that you've been moving through when it comes to this, and you're becoming more confident in trusting yourself and your abilities, and also just trusting that this truth that essentially you've unveiled, because central sun talks about regeneration and success, and also the central sun is a whole other deep topic. I'm not going to get into it right now, but it is like the main domain where it can lead to interdimensional travel essentially. But it's a gateway essentially into this universe and into other universes, which are like just other expressions and manifestations of you, because these are quantum non-local connections that you have that you're entangled with, that are, you know, it's intercommunication that's influencing your journey on earth. It's like your information is sourced from far beyond this construct. So the central sun also talks about any kind of heavy energy or tired energy or sluggish energy is being washed away, and it's revealing a more sacred and aligned you. So this is something that you've always been, but any belief systems that have been distorting, disrupting the way that you see yourself are essentially being cleared. You're going through a refinement period, and as you do that, you're naturally ascending into a higher octave of yourself, because the old belief systems or ways that you used to see you are no longer yourself, right? Or your position on this planet are no longer weighing you down. That's your message with this, right? Now you also have like cause of a mentee here at the base. I'm hearing one more, so this is one more. I'm hearing this is going to feel personal, this one. Apparently this card is going to feel very personal. Emerald Tablets, activation, cosmic ordering, divine alchemy, conscious manifesting. Confirmation, right? Was I just not talking about the Emerald Tablets? Right, let me go and find the text actually for you. I'm just going to leave you here. It's 1313 on the clock as I do this, right? So 1313 is actually clarity that you're receiving after the storm has passed. So you definitely feel like you could have gone through like some kind of storm area in your life. Let me see. The weak and wavering will be rejected. Okay, here's the text, right? Wow. 8th of May could be significant for you. It doesn't have to be, but it may be for a couple people, because this is where I started decoding this message in 2025. The quote from the Emerald Tablets of 𝓤𝓪𝓻𝓸𝓽 emphasizes the need for secrecy and symbolic representation of knowledge, right? This is the true arts of esoterics, which is why I love you if you're here, right? We're definitely in our element. So by making the path to understanding difficult, only the dedicated will persevere, while the weak and wavering will be left behind. Not that anyone is ever really left behind, it's just that it's almost like to catch up on knowledge, to catch up on remembrance. It's parts that are still yet to be integrated, truths that are not yet ready to be held. By making it difficult to understand, the hidden knowledge should be preserved and symbolized to confuse the profane and ensuring its purity and integrity. So another thing I want to talk about before I read this is that there's always a harmonic order being restored within this third dimensional construct, where as some people fall asleep, others awaken, right? As some souls fall into amnesia, this human spiritual amnesia, other ones begin to awaken. And there's always this harmonic order that's being sustained, and that is the paradox of this reality. Okay, so make it hard for the seeker to tread. Thus will the weak and the wavering be rejected. Thus will the secrets be hidden and guarded. Preserve them and hide them in symbols, so that the profane may laugh and denounce. So essentially, if I decode that for you right now, because this is literally it, right? So we're getting clarification from this. Make it hard for the seeker to tread. It implies the need for a challenging journey towards enlightenment and understanding. The path is not easy, and it requires commitment and perseverance. Especially, this is about becoming your own sacred witness for how far it is that you've come. Seek to understand, not to be understood. That's my message to you. Thus will the weak and wavering be rejected, is that those who are not yet truly dedicated or easily discouraged will essentially fall back the wayside, because again, they're not ready to actually walk the path. They may know the path, they may see others walking the path, but it requires a certain level of embodiment. So the process should be rigorous and demanding. It wasn't easy for you to get here, is what I'm saying. Thus will the secrets be hidden and guarded, is that true knowledge should be protected from those that are essentially not ready to hold that light, right? They're not ready to hold that truth, and it could be misused, or even through the ego. It's an interesting topic just because it can be so distorted, right? It can be so warped depending on the perception or the filter perception that individual is reading the information from. I'm kind of seeing like bending light. You know how you bend light and there's a refraction mechanism when light moves through a prism? It disperses itself and distributes itself through, very particular geometry. I'm seeing it as one light, like light codes, because when you read the Emerald Tablets, you're reading light codes. And that is information, right? It's intercommunication with source within your own plasma internally, and essentially there's like this remembrance. You're reading something that you already know, essentially, and it's being energetically projected to you in the external realm. So it's a mirrored reflection of deep truths that already lied within you. It's not that you're ever learning anything new, it's that you're now seeing something within your field, essentially, that is mirroring and reflecting the ultimate truth. So the secret should be kept. I'm seeing again that light kind of be refracted or distorted, it kind of like bends a certain way. I'm hearing it can only penetrate so deeply. So, you can only meet this information as far as you've met yourself, essentially. Anyway, the secret should be kept safe and represented in ways that are not easily understood by the general public. This allows for their continued preservation while also hindering those who may, again, like corrupt the information. So, so the profane may laugh and denounce is essentially those who are not ready to truly appreciate almost like, again, this information. So let me go and read Emerald Tablets for you. That was the quote that was coming through from it. Okay, let me see. Emerald Tablets. As you can see, I'm always reluctant to speak about like the contrast or the separation of it, because when you do zoom out, it's all in perfect design anyway, okay? So it's not that anyone is above or below, it's that time is a spherical model, okay? It's not linear, it's spherical, which means that we're always going through this cyclical cycle, right? So we're only sitting at a high level of resolution where we understand that we were once in the shoes of someone around us, especially when it comes to the level of consciousness. So we understand that realm, we understand, and we have no other option but to extend compassion to, your brothers and sisters on this planet. Anyway, the Emerald Tablets is one of the most celebrated of the Hermetic texts, a series of sacred Egyptian and Greek texts from the 2nd century or earlier. They form the basis of Hermeticism, a spiritual tradition that brings together science and spirituality through the investigation into the cosmos, mind, and nature. Most of the texts are a series of dialogues between a teacher and a student and are based on the concept of alchemy, the art of turning lead into gold, or something that is leaden into a golden opportunity. The Emerald Tablets is said to have been carved on a bright green stone that was transported to Egypt around the fall of Atlantis and stored in the halls of Amenti under the Great Pyramid. Although there's, I'm just laughing because they closed down Khufu, right? So, under the Great Pyramid, although this legend is widespread, the origin of the text is shrouded in mystery. We do know that this is made up of 14 passages, which first appeared in a book written sometime between the 6th and 8th centuries and had been highly influential. The thing is, when you zoom out enough, you really just admire the whole construct, because again, it's like when it was hidden, and again, they've closed down Khufu, right? So it's like when they closed it down after the like the X-ray scan came through of what was held underground on it, which just confirmed what so many people were talking about for so long as far as like the conspiracies went, right? And it's like, was that decision to close it down made from love or fear? And you understand how everything operates from that way. And then you can just sit back and, again, liberate is the soul that can see everything as an act of love or a call for love. Okay, so as above, so below, meaning that what is in the high heavens is reflected upon earth. The author signs off as Hermes, which is another name for Thoth. And again, Hermes, who was Hermes, right? Hermes was in Greek mythology, which was another depiction of Thoth, and Odin as well. He's represented on the Hanged Man. And the Hanged Man is number 12, right? He is the number 12 card, which represents seeing your life upside down from a new perspective and actually becoming enlightened, which is to remember yourself as a light being in this construct and also everyone else's light. That's what happens when you see life through the crown chakra, being your biggest filter perception, right, through the higher self in physical form. And you can see where that light is obstructed or even suppressed, okay? And 13 is death card in astrology, right? Not astrology, in tarot. So 13 is a point of divergence where death is not the end. It's a glimpse into new dimensions, which are just new frequencies that you're operating in. And each frequency, you can think about it as being a lens in how you interpret this reality. And that is where new stories get to play out. How would your life play out when you recognized nothing outside of yourself as being separate from you, being separate from the same source of wisdom that we all originate from, okay, expressing itself through countless life forms, source playing with itself through infinite countless life forms. So, the idea is that he knew the approaching end of the civilization and hid the Emerald Tablets and many other teachings in order to preserve them for spiritual aspirants in the future. Again, this is the memory of sources within you. So you hold the memory of everything that has walked upon this planet that is composed up with the cells that your vessel is essentially manifested from. And inside of the cell is the nucleus, which contains the DNA, which stores the memory. You guys better remember that. If you guys have been here and you've heard me say that so many times again and again, you better know that off by heart by now, right? So you hold the memory within your DNA, or everything, or the whole memory of the earth since the beginning of time is within you. That's the Akashic Records, interconnected database that stores living memory of all organisms from the past, present, and future simultaneously. So, the message for it is when the Emerald Tablets activation card appears, you're being called to remember the gifts that you're carrying from previous lifetimes. So again, this is something with, what was this topic about, Ophiuchus, right? That you're coming back into alignment with. It's this truth. It's this ultimate truth of the true nature of this construct. It's that the world is not as it is. It's the world is you. It's something that you're experiencing as you are, right? You don't see things as they are. You see them as you are. You see things as separate. You see yourself as separate. You're going to see this world as through the lens of separation. You're going to be playing out lessons through the lens of suffering, and that's something that you create for yourself. Even if you don't understand how to express them, there's a part of you that knows that you hold great power within you. And your great power is in that unified lens. What am I teaching myself through the form of another me? This is a special time for you to use that power to bring into manifestation all that you need for your life to unfold in a way that's in alignment with your best interests. All that has unfolded so far has given you the opportunity to learn and grow, even the unsettling moments. But you are a master alchemist with the capacity to take what was once challenging and create positive opportunities for yourself. As above, so below. All the thoughts you send up to the source will contribute towards your evolution on Earth. Okay, so that should feel very specific. With that being said, I'm gonna love and leave you right there. Let me get one soul's journey message for you, and then I'm gonna go. I want this to kind of stand its own. Oof, pride. I love myself and I see myself in everyone. And then your sad service that came out. So the best way that you can be of service is to model and embody a different example. This is about being whole within yourself. Everything is always in perfect balance, right? We even have balance at the base. I bring a state of perfect harmony into my world, and I do so without judgment. Let me read this. Pride, right? Pride. Some need to put their pride aside. I love myself when I see myself in everyone. You need to take time to honor and acknowledge who you are and what your soul has accomplished in your life thus far. You should look at your past soul choices and be mindful of how, through your positive actions, compassion, and understanding, you have made a better life for yourself and others. How have you changed the world in some little way? How have you shared insights with others? Reflect on what you've mastered. You should never underappreciate or underestimate yourself or your accomplishments. Now's the time for you to remember how brave you've been throughout your journey, and celebration is required. Humans tend to spend too much energy and time on negative emotions of what they have not yet done. Notice how I put yet in there, right? This card signifies that you should take rightful ownership of who you are and how you shared your unique light with the world. It may be a perfect time for you to look around and acknowledge those other souls who have also accomplished many great things and who also need to be reminded of them. This is your reminder. You've accomplished so much. Everything was necessary to get you to this point of remembrance and awakening. Are you awake yet? Are you lucid in your dream? In this third dimensional dream? You're not just dreaming this experience, you're living in it. The illusion of solidity. Don't lose yourself as you move through density. Come back to yourself again and again and again and again and again. Cultivate mastery of your attention, of your energy, of your awareness. Away from the material limits of this realm and back to the immaterial, intangible, and limitless being that you are. So I'm going to love any of you right there. If you're not already subscribed to the channel, do consider subscribing. So I'd love to have you around. Personal reading details also down below. Also check out Ophiuchus if you're looking for some high quality AAE grade jewelry. Don't sleep on them. One of the proceeds are donated towards otter sanctuaries. Okay. I have carnelian on today. I have two actually rainbow moonstones on today. No, I have moonstone and rainbow moonstone, which is I create miracles every day as well. With that being said, did you know this about Ophiuchus? I'd be interested to know. Do you feel yourself like, shape shifting between these different octaves, just like different archetypes in the tarot? And do you recognize yourself as all and none of them simultaneously? Bye!